Picture this. You unstrap from your seat, you float forward, and suddenly that perfectly good space lunch you just ate is doing cartwheels in your throat. It's not a pretty sight, trust me. Within minutes, your face feels like it's been inflated with a bicycle pump. Your legs feel like they vanished, literally weightless. And your brain, well, it just can't decide which way is up, down, or sideways. You're not drunk. You're definitely not sick in the conventional sense. You're just in space. And the wildest part? This is only day one. This isn't the glamorous, effortless ballet you see in the movies. This is a full-body biological shock. Stick around, because over the next few minutes, we're going to crawl inside an astronaut's skin and watch the human body unravel in real time, from the first dizzying seconds to the slow-motion decay of bones and eyeballs that could fundamentally change how we approach space travel forever. Get ready to see the real cost of leaving Earth. The first 48 hours, space adaptation syndrome. Let's kick things off with the greeting card nobody sends home. Space adaptation syndrome. Astronauts, bless their brave hearts, have a much more blunt term for it. Space sickness. And trust me, it's no picnic. Roughly half of all space travelers get hit with it, and it lands like a cosmic hangover, but without the fun night before. The very second those mighty engines cut out and microgravity gently, or not so gently, kicks in, your body's internal GPS goes haywire. What's actually happening? On Earth, gravity constantly pulls fluids down into your legs. Up here, that fluid, all 2 liters of it, suddenly has nowhere to go but up, rushing toward your head. This isn't just uncomfortable, it's a full-blown sensory assault. Your inner ear, that intricate, delicate balance system, is designed specifically for a world with gravity. Without it, the tiny crystals and fluid inside start firing off confusion signals to your brain. It's like your internal compass has spun wildly out of control, leaving you disoriented and utterly bewildered. The result? Cold sweats that prickle your skin, a disorienting, stomach-churning vertigo, and the urgent, desperate need to find a barf bag that, to add insult to injury, is probably floating away. It's a truly miserable experience, and it makes even simple tasks incredibly difficult. NASA doctors are pretty clear about it. Symptoms usually peak between hours 8 and 24, and they can linger, making life hellish for up to 72 hours. Imagine trying to perform critical maneuvers, dock a multi-billion-dollar laboratory, or conduct delicate experiments while your stomach is staging its own mini revolt and your head feels like it's stuck in a tumble dryer. The rookie record for longest continuous vomiting is still classified, probably for the sake of astronaut morale, but rumor puts it north of 17 times in one day. That's a lot of barf bags and an even tougher day at the office. This initial period isn't just about discomfort. It's a critical test of an astronaut's resilience as their body fights to make sense of an utterly alien environment. The mental fortitude required to push through such profound physical distress, especially when every moment counts, is truly remarkable. The puffy face and bird leg syndrome. Once the initial cosmic hangover finally starts to recede, you might catch your reflection in a window, or perhaps the fellow crewmate's amused stare. What you'll see might surprise you. Chipmunk cheeks, puffy eyelids, and veins on your neck and forehead popping out like garden hoses. That's not vanity kicking in, it's pure, unadulterated physics. On Earth, good old gravity drags fluids south, keeping things relatively normal. But in orbit, with no downward pull, those fluids redistribute upwards, cramming an extra 2 liters of blood and lymph into your upper half. Your body, accustomed to maintaining a certain fluid pressure distribution, suddenly finds its head and upper torso engorged. This isn't just a cosmetic issue, it's a significant physiological shift. While your face is swelling, your legs are doing the opposite. They shrink, sometimes by up to a centimeter in circumference within hours, earning them the rather charming, if slightly unflattering nickname, bird legs. Think about it. Your leg muscles and blood vessels are no longer fighting gravity to pump blood upwards or support your weight. They essentially go on an immediate, involuntary vacation. This fluid shift isn't just about appearance. The increased pressure inside the skull, a direct consequence of all that extra fluid pooling upstairs, starts to cause some serious issues. It can compress the optic nerve and subtly reshape the back of your eyeball. We're talking about actual, physical changes to the structure of your eyes. Some crew members have reported discovering mid-mission that their glasses prescription is suddenly useless, their vision blurred. It's a stark reminder that every part of your body is undergoing a profound, rapid transformation, adapting to a world it was never designed for. And this is just the beginning of the long-term changes. Bone turns to chalk. Now, with the initial shock and fluid shifts out of the way, the slow, insidious damage begins. Without the constant daily tug-of-war against gravity, your bones, those sturdy pillars of your body, start to shed minerals at an alarming rate. We're talking roughly 1 to 1.5% per month. To put that into perspective, that's about 10 times faster than the rate of osteoporosis in a 90-year-old on Earth. Imagine aging a decade in a single month just for your bones. It's an accelerated form of decay that would be terrifying if it happened here on solid ground. Why does this happen? Our bones are incredibly dynamic. They're constantly rebuilding themselves in response to stress and load. On Earth, walking, running, even just standing puts mechanical stress on your bones, stimulating cells called osteoblasts to build new bone tissue. But in microgravity, that stress vanishes. Suddenly, the osteoclasts, the cells responsible for breaking down old bone, become far more active than the osteoblasts, leading to a net loss of bone mineral density. This isn't just about feeling a bit weaker. Lose too much bone, and what seems like a simple sneeze upon your return to Earth can snap a vertebrae. Hip fractures, which surgeons on Earth treat with plates and screws, can theoretically happen to an astronaut just by untangling a seatbelt after landing. The worst hit are the weight-bearing bones, your hips, your spine, your femurs, basically all the bones that work hardest against gravity. On a typical 6-month tour aboard the International Space Station, an astronaut can drop 6 to 8% of their total bone mass. That's decades of aging compressed into a mere half year. The calcium and other minerals that leach from the bones don't just disappear. They circulate in the blood, potentially causing kidney stones or other complications. It's a silent, relentless process that underscores just how much our skeletal system relies on the constant presence of gravity. Muscles go on vacation. While your bones are turning brittle, your muscles are essentially lounging poolside, sipping zero-G cocktails. On Earth, every single movement, every posture, every step requires your muscles to work against gravity. But in space, that constant workload disappears. The postural muscles, your calves, quadriceps, and those crucial paraspinal muscles along your spine no longer have to fight gravity to keep you upright. So, they atrophy, shrinking by as much as 20% in a single month. It's a rapid decline in strength and mass that can leave astronauts feeling incredibly weak. To combat this alarming rate of muscle loss, astronauts are forced into a grueling daily regimen. They commit to 2 hours of intense treadmill, bike, and resistive exercise every single day. We're talking about a serious workout, not a casual jog. Skip a week, and your strength plummets like you'd skipped leg day for a year. The resistive devices they use, like the Advanced Resistive Exercise Device, RRED, can pull incredibly hard, up to 600 pounds of load, mimicking the resistance gravity provides. But even that, as effective as it is, can't fully trick the body into thinking it's on Earth. Have you ever tried running while suspended from bungee cords?
That's the closest analog, and it still leaves astronauts wobbling like toddlers when they first try to stand and walk again after landing. The implications are huge. Reduced muscle mass doesn't just mean weakness. It affects metabolic rate, insulin sensitivity, and overall physical resilience. Imagine needing to perform an emergency spacewalk or quickly respond to a malfunction, but your muscles are simply not up to the task. It's a constant battle against biological entropy, a fight for every ounce of strength. The heart becomes a sphere. It's not just your bones and muscles that undergo a radical transformation. Your heart, that tireless pump, remodels itself too. On Earth, gravity elongates it slightly, tugging it into that familiar, almost iconic Valentine shape. But in orbit, freed from that constant pull, your heart literally rounds out, becoming more spherical. It's a subtle but significant change in its geometry. More critically, the muscle walls of your heart begin to thin, and its stroke volume, the amount of blood pumped with each beat, drops. This leads to a decrease in cardiac output, which can fall by as much as 10%. Your heart simply doesn't need to work as hard to circulate blood when there's no gravity to fight. Furthermore, the blood itself changes. Total red cell mass shrinks and plasma volume contracts, a phenomenon aptly dubbed space anemia. While not as severe as clinical anemia, it means less oxygen carrying capacity. When crews finally splash down back on Earth, this cardiovascular deconditioning presents a serious challenge. Simple standing can trigger what's known as orthostatic intolerance, a sudden drop in blood pressure that can cause dizziness, lightheadedness, and even fainting. NASA calls it orthostatic intolerance. Astronauts, with their characteristic bluntness, often call it the welcome back head rush from hell. It's a dangerous condition that requires careful monitoring and rehabilitation, as the body struggles to readapt to the demands of gravity after months of a comparatively easy ride for the cardiovascular system. The eye bulge crisis, BIP. Remember those fluid shifts we talked about earlier? The ones that make your face puffy? Well, they don't stop at your cheeks. Those extra fluids pressing against the brain lead to increased intracranial pressure. And that pressure over long durations starts to flatten the back of your eyeball, subtly reshaping its delicate structure. It's like a slow, relentless squeeze, folding the light-sensitive retina like warped film. This isn't a minor inconvenience. It's a significant medical concern that can have lasting effects. More than half of long-duration astronauts report blurry vision, and for some, it's not just temporary. They need stronger glasses for life or experience permanent changes to their eyesight. One study, looking closely at the eyes of crew members, found swelling of the optic disc, the point where the optic nerve connects to the retina, in a staggering 60% of them. Scientists, ever fond of acronyms, dub this condition VIIP, Visual Impairment and Intracranial Pressure Syndrome. The translation is pretty stark. Your eyeballs are slowly getting squeezed out of shape by your own cerebral fluid. Beyond the flattened globe and optic disc swelling, other changes observed include choroidal folds, wrinkles in the vascular layer behind the retina, cottonwool spots, nerve fiber damage, and a noticeable shift towards hyperopia or farsightedness. The exact mechanisms are still being researched, but the prevailing theory points to that chronic elevation in intracranial pressure pushing on the back of the eye. It's a particularly worrying development for missions of extended duration, as clear vision is absolutely critical for complex operations in space. Immune confusion and radiation roulette. As if all that wasn't enough, microgravity also plays havoc with your immune system. It's like your body's internal defense force gets a bit confused and underperforming. T cells, those crucial soldiers in your immune response, don't signal as effectively. This means your body is less apt at recognizing and fighting off pathogens. As a result, latent viruses like those responsible for chickenpox, varicella zoster, and herpes simplex often reactivate, causing uncomfortable outbreaks. Wounds heal slower, and astronauts can become more susceptible to infections. It's a significant concern, especially when you're cooped up in a small capsule with limited medical resources millions of miles from Earth. But the immune system isn't the only concern. Out in the vastness of deep space, beyond the protective embrace of Earth's magnetic field, radiation becomes a truly terrifying adversary. Galactic cosmic rays and solar particle events slam the body with high-energy ionizing particles that literally shred DNA. This isn't just a theoretical risk. It's a direct, measurable threat. On the International Space Station orbiting within Earth's magnetosphere, our planet's magnetic field still blocks the worst of this cosmic bombardment. But a journey to Mars, which would take astronauts far beyond this protective shield, would expose crews to a lifetime cancer risk equivalent to that of a pack-a-day smoker. Beyond cancer, radiation exposure can lead to cataracts, central nervous system damage, and even acute radiation sickness depending on the dose.
No one has flown far enough into deep space for long enough to quantify the full, long-term damage yet. In many ways, we're all still guinea pigs in that grand, dangerous experiment. It's a gamble we're taking with every mission beyond low Earth orbit, and it highlights the urgent need for better shielding and medical countermeasures. Mid-roll CTA. If you're finding this deep dive into the human body's cosmic struggles as fascinating as I am, do me a favor. Hit that subscribe button, because next, we're peeling back the curtain on artificial gravity, exploring massive centrifuges big enough to house entire cities, and diving into the wild experiments that just might let humans live in space without crumbling apart. You absolutely don't want to miss it. Countermeasures, the daily grind. So, given this rather grim litany of bodily breakdowns, how do astronauts fight back? It's not just about toughing it out. It's a meticulously planned, multi-pronged assault on microgravity's effects, a daily grind designed to keep their bodies from completely falling apart. First up, nutrition. It's not just about eating, it's about strategic supplementation. Astronauts take vitamin D supplements at roughly double the Earth normal doses, plus 600 to 800 milligrams of calcium daily. This is a direct attempt to slow the bone loss and counteract the altered calcium metabolism. But it's not just pills. Their diet is carefully calibrated to include foods rich in antioxidants and other vital nutrients to support overall health and mitigate radiation damage. Second, and perhaps most visibly, is exercise. We're talking 2 hours of high-load resistive work every single day, often split into 2 sessions. This isn't optional. It's a mission-critical task. They use sophisticated equipment like the Advanced Resistive Exercise Device, or ARED, which uses vacuum cylinders to provide a consistent, heavy load for squats, deadlifts, and calf raises, mimicking weightlifting on Earth. They also use treadmills and cycloergometers, often with harnesses to pull them down onto the surface, simulating gravity. On weekends, they might even add longer biking or running sessions. This intense physical regimen is exhausting, both physically and mentally, but it's absolutely essential to maintain muscle mass and bone density. However, even with this rigorous training, it can't fully replicate the constant passive resistance gravity provides. Third, pharmaceuticals are beginning to play a role. Bisphosphonates, drugs commonly used on Earth to treat osteoporosis by slowing bone breakdown, have been successfully used in recent missions. They've shown promising results, cutting bone loss rates by half in some astronauts. Researchers are also exploring other drug candidates, including antioxidants to combat radiation damage, and even compounds that might stimulate muscle growth or protect against cardiovascular deconditioning. Finally, the holy grail of countermeasures, artificial gravity. Scientists are actively testing centrifuges, essentially giant spinning habitats that create centrifugal force equal to Martian or even Earth gravity. Picture a giant hamster wheel in space, a rotating cylinder where crews could sleep or spend part of their day. The idea is that by spinning, the force would push fluids back toward their feet, restoring a more natural fluid distribution and stimulating bones and muscles. Early data show promise, and smaller human centrifuges are being tested.
However, the thought of spending 8 hours strapped to a merry-go-round, even for your health, isn't exactly everyone's idea of a good time. The engineering challenges are immense, from the sheer size and mass required to the complexities of docking and maneuvering a rotating spacecraft. But the potential benefits for long-duration missions are so profound that the research continues with urgency. Return to Earth. The unkindest shock. Splashdown day or landing day is often described as feeling like being born again, but painfully. The moment gravity slams back into your body, it's an immediate, profound shock. Fluids which had pulled in your upper body for months suddenly plummet downwards. Blood pressure plummets too. And some astronauts experience immediate orthostatic intolerance, potentially blacking out the moment they try to stand. Your balance is shot. Those tiny otoliths, the ear stones in your inner ear that detect linear acceleration and gravity, have been floating randomly in microgravity. Now, suddenly reintroduced to gravity, they're sending conflicting signals, making walking a straight line feel like you're profoundly drunk. Bones ache, muscles tremble and feel like jelly, and your skin, which you haven't really felt in months, suddenly weighs something. Every single part of your body has to relearn how to operate under the oppressive yet familiar force of gravity. Recovery is a long and arduous process, often involving intensive rehydration protocols, tilt table training to recondition the cardiovascular system, and rigorous resistive rehabilitation to rebuild lost muscle and bone. Even with all this effort, a year in orbit can leave a permanent bone mineral deficit. There are stories, like that of a Russian cosmonaut who reportedly broke multiple ribs just from sneezing 3 years after landing, a stark reminder of the lasting fragility. Every hero's welcome and triumphant press conference masks months of quiet, grueling rehab in NASA gyms, a testament to the unseen toll space travel takes on the human body. The journey home is not the end of the challenge, it's the beginning of another, equally demanding adaptation. Looking ahead, Mars, Moon, and beyond. All this intricate knowledge about the body's response to microgravity matters profoundly because we are definitively leaving low Earth orbit for good. The ambitions of humanity are stretching further than ever before. The Artemis program, for instance, aims to establish sustainable lunar bases by 2030, marking a permanent human presence on the Moon. SpaceX, with its visionary leader, eyes Mars in the 2030s, dreaming of making humanity a multi-planetary species. These aren't short jaunts. These trips will last not just months, but potentially years, multiplying every single risk and biological challenge we've just covered by orders of magnitude. The current countermeasures, while effective for ISS duration missions, simply won't cut it for a 2.5-year round trip to Mars. So what's next? Scientists are pushing the boundaries of innovation. They're testing full-scale spin-gravity spacecraft designs, trying to engineer vessels that can continuously generate artificial gravity throughout the journey, eliminating many of these physiological problems at their root. They're exploring advanced gene therapies designed to turbocharge bone formation or prevent muscle atrophy at a cellular level. Imagine a drug that tells your muscles to stay awake and strong even when they're not being used, or a treatment that prevents bone loss entirely. They're even looking at fungus-based drugs and other novel pharmaceuticals that could protect against radiation or modulate the immune system. The Holy Grail remains a rotating ship that can create one Earth gravity without inducing the nausea of a carnival ride, a stable, comfortable, and biologically safe environment for long-duration space travel. Until then, every astronaut who signs up for these ambitious missions is also signing up for a body that ages at hyperspeed, trading bones and eyeballs for the unparalleled chance to write history among the stars. The future of space exploration hinges not just on rockets and robots, but on our ability to understand, protect, and adapt the most incredible machine of all, the human body. So, the next time you watch footage of astronauts performing those seemingly effortless, weightless somersaults, remember the hidden invoice. Remember the bird legs that sag, the bones that hollow, the eyes that warp, and the heart that slowly forgets how to pump uphill. Space isn't some luxury cruise, a leisurely vacation among the stars. It is, unequivocally, the most expensive and demanding biological stress test humans have ever invented. Yet, despite the profound, often uncomfortable, and sometimes permanent changes it inflicts on our bodies, we keep volunteering. We keep pushing the boundaries because the view is, by all accounts, unbeatable. And the future of humanity is undoubtedly bigger than our fragile, earth-bound bodies. If you learned something truly fascinating today, drop a comment with the word astronaut so I know you made it to the very end. Share this with a friend who still thinks space is easy, and I'll see you in the next video where we explore just how close we are to building artificial gravity cities among the stars.